Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the AI Math Guys podcast. So, today, as we were talking about boundaries with AI, which is very interesting idea. And there's actually a faith-based book called Boundaries, and it talks about where there are certain things that you say no to and things that you allow. And we also want to do that when it comes to AI. We don't want just AI to we don't want AI to be part of every part of our lives, and especially parts of our lives that make us human and make us uniquely human. And also, I believe that a lot of the parts that can be automated, maybe things that don't really have to do with things that give us value and meaning and uniqueness as a human being, like monotonous tasks like filling out paperwork, so on and so forth, which is a little bit more clear. We are able to automate those things so that we can give more space to the human to be able to do what really makes unique, what makes humans unique, and for people to be able to really tap into what it means to be human and giving space for humans to be able to express and experience that humanness more through AI. And applied that to, did you want to say something, Zach?
No, I was just saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and because I think when it comes to also with teaching and now applied boundaries to education, I think the question is, where does the boundary start for
Mhm.
the teacher and where does the boundary end for the AI? And we really want to, it's very funny. You would think that software or an ed tech found, even though we call ourselves, I don't know, ed tech, whatever, you would imagine that it would have to do a lot more with technology and software. It's also very
Mm.
philosophical, I would imagine. Like,
Mhm.
you think about what then are the boundaries of a teacher that makes the teacher uniquely a teacher and are able to keep their value proposition uniquely as a teacher. And then all the parts that are monotonous about the teaching profession, we are then able to delegate so that we don't have to focus on. And I think that this is not a new concept. And for, I think people have been talking about this, especially thought leaders in this field. And at the same time, I think now it's clicked with us. Now we are
Mhm.
thinking, okay, like for Someta, like we really aren't a we are helping to define what those boundaries are, and we want to do it in a way that ultimately respects and honors the craft and the artistry, like you talked about, Zach, of a teacher being a teacher. And what are those characteristics or what are the elements that make a teacher uniquely a teacher? It's very interesting. We, as like, we in the AI space are actually, like, I don't know, maybe we're at the cutting edges of this stuff, trying to figure it out. I think also because we're teachers, right? I think we think about
Mhm.
this stuff too. And yeah, it's very interesting. Before I go on to my next thought, do you have any other thoughts you want to share on that, Zach?
Dude, I have a lot of thoughts. Is there anything, like, in particular in terms of a question?
Maybe what you were sharing about the creativity with one of the conversations with one of the teachers that have been using it.
Yeah,
And
so
yeah.
I can definitely touch on that. Before that, though, yeah, I had some thoughts about what you're talking about is, like, we are essentially pushing the boundary. Like, I think with Someta, like, we figured out how to get the AI to do what we want it to do, and that was a long, arduous process. Now the question becomes, how do we reimagine teaching from there? And if we reimagine teaching, that means, like, per what you're talking about, there needs to be boundaries set up. Like right now, I actually made the comparison to like students using ChatGPT to cheat, right? And it's not just ChatGPT, like that kind of gets a bad rap, but like they're using AI to cheat. It's laying out all their question or laying out all the steps. It's essentially like Googling something, right? It's the early stages of reminds me of the internet. And I just saw like the other day there was like a YouTube video that popped up in my feed that was like or no, it was a podcast of it was a scientific podcast explaining the title. Obviously it was clickbait, but it was like why students critical thinking is like going away from AI. And like that right there is really scary. That's and I believe that some people's critical thinking are probably going out the window, or at least some students, because there's no boundary set up around what ChatGPT is doing. In the same way, this is also why I don't ascribe to where AI is going to take over everything, all the jobs are going to be gone. I think, at least in this phase of where we're at, maybe they'll eventually be gone. I don't know if I'm going to be right about this, and we'll adjust and adapt. But like right now, within this next year, or like at least tomorrow, like you have a teacher in the classroom who needs to do a job, who needs to teach, and that teacher has no clue what to do with the AI. Some of them are like exploring with it, like they're having a lot of fun, and they're obviously adults, so like they have self-control and restraint. But like in in this new AI world, and I think, yeah, like in this new AI world, what does teaching actually look like? Does it mean giving instruction? Does it mean grading all these papers? Does it mean even giving individual feedback? Like AI can do that. And so that's primarily what a lot of teachers have been doing in the past. And sorry, that was a long-winded way of getting to the point, or to your question. Now to the question, yeah, like teachers as artists. This is something that like I think a lot of educators are going to be able to understand this, and it's not going to be surprising. Where it's, hey, a teacher is teaching is art. And this is actually fascinating because shout out to Steph, actually. I was talking to one of my teacher friends, and she said something that like I haven't heard in a long time just because I've been out of the profession, but it's like common knowledge, but it doesn't get often said. And it's, yeah, it's teaching is art. And the thing about teaching is that it's a little bit tricky because it's as much of an art as it is a science, because we need to make sure that we're using like data, metrics, we're being objective, right? In terms of like how we are analyzing and like understanding the context of what's going on with the student. But there is a level of just like teachers get to create. That creativity piece is really important because this is why like teachers want to teach. This is like part of the joy of teaching. Is like making a lesson and feeling like you get to put a little bit of yourself in that. Making a project. Like I think funnily enough, it was actually Steph's sister. She's also the teacher. She said that she has her students make podcasts as one of their projects, as one of their assignments. And it's like, that is so cool. That sounds like so much fun. And the reason why that is probably, sure, other teachers could do it, but the reason why that it works specifically for her class is because she's the one that designed it. She's the one that's pushing it forward, and that's her personality. And one of the things that I've really doubled down on is like this idea that AI needs to not replace teachers, but needs to help them create.
I really so there are certain things that you said in there that are actually super huge implications. Like you just said is like but I really do think that there's some really huge implications on there, which I think that I'm definitely in alignment. And there's always room for me being incorrect. So just wanted you guys to know, everybody who's watching this, we can always be incorrect. Okay. So we're open to your comments, open to your thoughts. And this is what we're thinking now. Okay. What we're thinking now, like you said, AI can give instruction, AI can give feedback. That in and of itself, I think is a huge statement because so much of our teaching profession has been just that, teaching or giving instruction and giving feedback. Now, there's other things, right? And because
Mm,
this part could never be automated up to this point, that's what we spent all of our time doing. And that's why it's so important. And that's what this podcast is all about, is to reimagine what education looks like in the age of AI. And part of education is teaching. So how do we reimagine now teaching in the age of AI, especially when it comes to math? And
mm,
it seems, and with my other conversations with other people, is that when it comes to instruction, I think tutoring falls under that to a certain extent. Like instruction, I guess maybe tutoring doesn't, but an instructional piece, like teaching a student a concept X, like AI can do that. AI can give feedback on student work. So they take a image or whatever, or it could be a screen recording. Feed it into AI, it's going to give them really good personalized feedback that honestly sometimes is probably better than I can at scale. And so I just wanted to call that out. So what you have just said with instruction and feedback is huge statements that really now causes teachers to have to rethink what is the value proposition, what is the value of the teacher. And I think you're helping draw the boundaries actually right now.
Mm.
When you said instruction could be gone or it could be delegated to AI, feedback could be delegated to the AI. Now, like we talked about, we could never underestimate, and at the same time, we have to keep the human in the loop in instruction, in feedback. So there are still aspects of humans' decisions on there because ultimately we
Absolutely.
also believe that humans are the final arbiters of everything. And so what that looks like, we're gonna have to figure out. And a lot of instruction, like the actual grunt
Mhm.
work of instructing kids, can be automated. The actual grunt work of giving feedback, that monotonous, okay, here we go. Let's look at the solution again, like
I
over and
mean I
over
mean,
again.
and just for
Yeah.
the audience, just to illustrate, like, you're calling it grunt work, like, I know that, like, it sounds a little demeaning, but, like, dude, literally explaining the same question over and over, not only in one class period, but in all 5. Oh my gosh, dude, it's terrible.
Yeah, it's terrible. And yeah, we speak from experience. We're not like just a bunch of random people. Like we do it. Like I still do it. And it's oh my gosh, please in the name
Yeah.
of Jesus, let this
I
stop.
maybe that won't change, right? Maybe it won't, but, like, that's I think that's what you're, like, hinting at, right? It's not like we want to delegate, "Oh, like, I don't wanna be in the classroom at all, and I don't
No.
wanna talk to these kids." But it's more of like, you gotta read. It's one of those moments of you didn't read the instruction. But then,
Yeah.
like, for us as teachers, we have to be, like, patient and just keep it together, even though it, like, drives us crazy. So it's if we're able to delegate that type of stuff, and even more a little bit more complex, obviously, I'm using, like, the low-hanging fruit, but if we're able to automate that, like, I feel like for me as a teacher, I'm not teaching right now, but, like, when I was a teacher, I feel like that would be really freeing for me.
Oh yeah. Definitely I think the way that I've been leveraging AI in my own classroom, it has been very freeing, right?
Mm,
And there are still definitely cases where it ends. Like for example, if a kid comes to me and they came all the way to meet with me virtually, right? Outside of the class, I'm not going to tell them, hey, go use the AI. I'm going to talk to them. I'm going to be like, okay,
yeah,
let's go through it one by one because they came to see me, right? So
yeah,
in that scenario, I'm not going to delegate it to AI. And you shouldn't because what the kid needs is a human interaction. And after I go through it with them one time, I say, okay, this is how you do it and go through it like this. And then I can say, okay, now next time, what you can also do is you can leverage AI to go through exactly what we went through, and you could have it right next to you. And you could talk to it as long as you want. And I can be there. Obviously, I'll always be here if you need me. And at the same time, there's an option, right? So, in that sense, there's boundaries, right? Where the AI needs to stop. And I think like some of the ones that you've mentioned, which I really appreciate, are like number one, teacher personality. Like
mm,
teacher personality are a couple things. Teacher color, like maybe that's the same thing as personality. Their unique experiences, their
mhm,
teaching style, their taste. That all needs to somehow come out in the tooling or in
yeah,
that's where the AI cannot overstep. This is where we say, okay, the styling of this or the taste of this, the I don't know, the color of this lesson or the way that it is executed, like those things needs to be uniquely guarded and there needs to be hard boundaries that says, okay, now that is uniquely human. and that's uniquely the teacher. Now, I don't know what that exactly looks like, to be honest. So,
Mm,
like for example, maybe I do. If I can maybe give an example, is
sure.
I am doing a lesson on quadratics and war on drugs and Tupac, and actually it's a module, and so we are looking at the connection between quadratic growth and how historically war on drugs started that growth, as well as where Tupac comes in and how his songs and his poetry reflect the times that we see on the graph that's represented by a quadratic. That's
Wow.
yeah, that's like completely my style, right?
It's
That
so
is
cool.
yeah,
That is
I thought
really
it.
cool.
Yeah, it's really fun. It's really fun creating that. And so that's uniquely
But
my style.
that's exact and this is like what you just talked about, like making those dots happen for you, sure. Maybe like I'm sure I know you, so I'm sure you've used AI to help you like like boom, sequence it and put it all together. But these are all unique thoughts to yourself and your personality. And so like the AI could, I hope this is true, where it's like the AI can't replicate that. It can't make those connections that you like I had no clue about all those different things. And it like, but like when you flesh it out like that, oh my gosh, this lesson makes total sense, or this module makes complete sense. And it's so engaging, it's uniquely you. And that would be a shame if we lost that. If AI were to quote unquote replace that, which I don't think it can. This is also the big reason why that I have growing conviction that like teachers are creators, they're designers. They need to have their creative juice and their creative spin on things because that's the thing that is going to be the most valuable, right? It's not you going in there and walking them through step by step on how to solve a problem. That's not the value. The value is you creating this great lesson where they're just all, "Oh my gosh, this is beautiful. I am so into it. I don't even know that I'm learning right now because learning is fun." And is what I think AI needs to be empowering, not replacing that. That piece needs to stay the way exactly how it is.
You're right. I think number one, this connection would have been impossible without AI, me
Mhm.
leveraging AI. So using and leveraging AI to make those connections, to be able to create a module like this has not become possible. And though it's a little bit more like I want to distinguish it from using AI to create things versus where now I draw the boundary and say, okay, I'm not going to delegate my mind to the AI to make now the decision for me on what my next module is going to be. And you're right. As I was seeing you speak, like there was so much passion and animation and the enthusiasm in your voice when you're sharing that because you were talking about like we need to keep the teacher at the center. We
Mhm.
need to keep the teacher at the heart of it all. And I hope everybody who is listening to this is that we are teachers. Zach was a teacher, but he's still a teacher at heart. I'm a teacher currently. And that's what we're building for. We're not trying to we're not trying to make a whole bunch of money. We just want to make money so that we can keep doing what we love to do, which is what Zach just said, which is to create tooling around or create boundaries and then delegating so that teachers can truly do what they're uniquely created to do, like quadratics, Tupac, and war on drugs. That's what I don't know, teachers should be spending all their time on. And like now, because I delegated some stuff, some of the other stuff that I'm working on is the Keeling curve. It's one of the most important curves that
I
humanity
don't
needs to
sorry,
know.
I don't know. I guess I need to know about it too.
Yeah, it's a science thing, science teacher, but it's a
Sorry.
CO2, like the way that it's been rising and how the CO2 levels, if you look, it's a sine graph, but it's actually increasing at like a quadratic relationship, but
Oh,
the
I
way that
see,
it
I see, okay.
but it's a
Interesting.
squiggle, right? But then if you
But it's a
zoom
sine graph.
in,
Oh, interesting. Huh.
it's just one sine graph. It's just one period of a sine. And then if you take that, take the midline, and then go
and
to
calculate
40,
it.
80 years later and take
Yeah.
another sine graph, take the midline. Now you compare the midlines and you see how much the CO2 has increased, right? And
Mm,
mathematically tell the
interesting.
difference. But you learn radians, pi, period, frequency, you right triangles, 30, 60, 90, 45, 45, 90. You have to understand all of those minute things in order
Yeah.
to then understand the Keeling graph. Then for you to do something with it, because now you fundamentally
Mm,
understand how this graph works to a
yeah.
level where honestly I don't think you need to understand it to this level. But now like you can empower kids to be able to do, okay, maybe I want to go into environmental science, or maybe I am passionate about ecology, like
Mm,
maybe I want to look at mathematical modeling a little bit more, maybe I want to go into like computer science and mathematical modeling and ecology where it all intersects. Like that's unique work, it feels like. That's what I feel
mm,
like uniquely
mhm,
makes a teacher, and that's what gives me life. That's what I'm still in teaching for. That's I could do that all day. But man,
mm.
like you're saying, do I wanna teach one-step equations again for the millionth time? Please. Please, no. Please. Do I want to teach polynomial division again? Synthetic division again? How to take the derivative again? No, I don't.
I actually heard this really fascinating thing where it was talking about call centers and how a lot of the call centers are replacing their customer service reps, so like actual people, and they're replacing them with AI, right? So the idea is like, oh, all of these customer rep people are losing their jobs, right? That's like the thing. But if we think about the second order effects or like the things that happen because of this, does anyone want to be a customer service rep, like answering phone calls and just like doing that? Usually not, right? I think it has one of the, like the person was saying, that has one of the highest turnover rates as like a job. So it's like people are not happy doing this. And so what actually ends up happening is that what the job evolves into, maybe there's less of them, sure, but the person at the call center becomes almost like an orchestrator. So they take in all this data that's coming in from the call center, they're synthesizing it, and then they're triaging where they think they where the human really needs to like add in a little oomph. And what's interesting is that these call center people have actually seen increased satisfaction in their job because they're not dealing with the mundane, like over and over repeatable. They're just calling because they just need to restart their router or something, right? Like they are solving these real problems. And then afterwards, the people are like actually incredibly thankful to them. And so it feels even more rewarding. And so like that I actually see happening with teachers where it's, hey, like now you don't have to continuously have to either grading is one of those big pain points, re-explain the same, what are we doing in the classroom? Like taking that out of the equation, and now the teacher can focus on like creating fun lessons, personalizing instruction that really matters for this kid, and like adjusting the prompts for them. Maybe even changing up the groupings. Hey, maybe we're going through curriculum and I get to go home on time because I don't have to grade all of these papers, but I know exactly what's going on in my class by the end of the day. And so I'm just going to go home and I'm going to enjoy time with my family. Like I know so many teachers that like like unfortunately, the best teachers are the ones that are giving painstaking feedback. They're taking their work over the weekend and they're spending maybe 4 or 5 hours grading these kids' papers. Like to me, that doesn't, bless their soul. They're amazing teachers. We don't deserve them like at all for them to do that. They like kids, whenever you had like a teacher that did that, you don't deserve that. That person is going above and beyond for you. What if we can give them back their time? That's the big thing that like I'm really also passionate about. Is like, what if I can save this teacher 5 hours out of their weekend? Like that would be incredible, and that would be well worth the journey.
Exactly. Yeah, I think what boundaries allow us to do, one of the benefits of boundaries is that it gives us back time. So when
Mhm,
it's even in relationships,
mm.
it not only just gives us back time, but it also gives back, gives us, gives back us, gives us back whatever health. physically
Mm.
and also emotional
Mm.
and spiritual health.
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
just think about boundaries
Mm.
in just any like interpersonal relationships, right? Like,
Mhm.
when you set them, let's just say this person is not respecting your boundaries. When you set them, what do you get back? Maybe you used to invest time into this person, and maybe it would be like emotionally like so draining or hurtful for you, which, by the way, I think these days people are too easy to set boundaries and cut people off. But that's another conversation. But that's what boundaries help you to do. You get back your health mentally, spiritually, psychologically, and time. You get those things
Mm.
back. And that's why you set
Mhm.
the boundaries. And
Mm.
so when we set healthy boundaries with AI, we get certain things back, the benefits, which is time, our psychological health. And then imagine like the 5 hours that a teacher was spending on rating and giving feedback with red pens. Please don't forget the negative sign. Which, by the
It's
way,
a
like you
it's a
said,
history
bless their
teacher that
soul.
I'm thinking about, actually. So shout out to Mr. Seitz.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like those teachers, bless their soul, like you said, like they love and serve their kids, right? Like until it hurts them, like physically sometimes too. And so
Mm. Mhm.
imagine if we were able to get give that teacher, they were like 6 hours back, 7 hours back, where they're not teaching on the weekends anymore. And maybe they have additional 2 hours, 3 hours now to think of other projects. I don't know. And so I
Yeah.
think, yeah,
I would imagine those teachers would actually, this is actually something that I thought about, was like, they might still work over the weekend, maybe not as long, not as taxing, but they actually get to do something fun, which is like
yeah,
make a new lesson, right?
exactly.
Create something that's like fun in class, right? Like
Yeah.
adapt. Hey, maybe if I approach it like this, give test it out. Like experiment. Like now they have time to do that, which I think is like a lot of the fun part of teaching.
Yeah. And I do also like lesson design and project design. Those things are so fun and so cool. And I love doing them. And I think another piece is that it gives us back time to collaborate with other teachers.
Mm,
That's so
that's good.
huge.
That's
That's really
good.
huge.
No, that's a huge one.
Yeah, one of the
Yeah.
things that I really respect AUHST for is one of the things that they say is that we're not silos. We don't work in silos. We work in
Mhm,
systems.
mm.
And so one of the ideas that come from that is that we don't want teachers to be isolated, because once you're isolated, I feel that just emotionally, socially, and all that stuff, and your effectiveness as a teacher just continues to just slowly just go.
Sure. Yeah.
But the question is, where do I even have the time to like collaborate with other teachers? I don't have time to collaborate with teachers. And so now when you use tooling, the right kinds of tooling, so meta, then you now have the space to collaborate with other teachers. And imagine like the quadratic Tupac or whatever. Imagine now I have the time to go to a social science teacher. Maybe like, hey, could you teach the lesson on war on drugs so I don't have to go over it in my own class? That'd be awesome. Okay,
Right,
English
that's
teacher.
like the sorry,
Go for it.
the ability to do cross curricular. I remember when I was like in there, like people would always talk about, hey, let's do cross curricular collaboration. As literally, I don't see the because English is in a different building. I don't see them like at all. So it's just like I have to like run over there, knock on the door, make sure that they're even there to like after school, because that's usually when I did a lot of my stuff was after school and get their number and just like text them, "Hey, you on campus? Let's." Yeah, like totally. Oh my gosh, dude, that's really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, I really do think that, yeah, it just creates so much space. It depends on how you use it, right?
Right.
But it does create more space than to either come up with projects that you really enjoy and are think and fun, or now you have cross-curricular opportunities. So like the war on drugs module, okay, the history teacher takes the war on drugs. I want to create a soapbox speech on it where they can go to a competition and present on this topic about whatever that they choose. and an English teacher can help with that. And then the
Mm.
math portion, obviously, I take, and we could run it concurrently. And then obviously, the traditional structures also need to change because the period system and things like that, it just makes it really difficult. And at the same time, like now you have space to run these things concurrently where now students have maybe one project that they do that display what they've learned instead of three different unit tests at the end of the year. AI just allows for human personality, teacher personality, uniqueness, color, taste, judgment, and collaboration. It allows for that.
Just one more thing on the collaboration, like for science, so it's heavily tied to math, especially the physics, right?
Oh yeah.
And the chemistry, right? So I'm just like, now you're getting me to like dream now, because it's now I'm thinking, I'm all like, it would have been really cool if in our forces unit, if I was able to collaborate with the math teachers
Oh
and
yeah.
like we're plotting linear graphs, right? Like we're looking at these equations, like what is a direct relationship versus the inverse relationship? And it's like they're covering other stuff. I didn't even get a chance to even talk to them because I was underwater trying to make my lab happen. And what, yeah, oh my gosh, dude. Yeah,
Yeah.
or like make a test, right? Do all this other stuff. And oh my gosh, that is
Yeah.
so, I've never thought about that. That's really cool.
Yeah. Like with my seventh graders right now, we're working on a project called Solving the Housing Crisis. And this is
Mm.
a cross curricular between English, science, math, and history.
Oh my
And
gosh.
yeah, so on the math side, we look at how the housing prices has went up, and then the salaries, how much it went up. Like the housing went up like 400% over the last, I don't know, 40 years. Don't quote me on that, but it was a lot more than our
Yeah.
salaries. Our salaries went up maybe 100%. And
Yeah.
so we look at just a percent increase for that. So that's the seventh grade
Mm.
standard. And then what is the solution? Solution is tiny houses, potentially. That's one of the solutions.
Mm.
That could then potentially lead to kids. We could do scale drawing. So scale drawings is another seventh grade concept. And so we draw blueprints and
Yeah.
then they create
That's
it
cool.
with using Minecraft. And then they look at solar
Oh, that's
panels,
so cool. Oh my
right? Through
gosh.
science to look at the solar panels. Like that stuff is fun. Like I love like that is what like I enjoy teaching. That this is and then the students after they learn this stuff, they can think about, oh, what if I consider myself as a tiny home builder? What if I go into that field? Right? It's a career choice for them. Now, there's a
Right.
real application at the back end of a project that not only learns the math, but the English, but the science and the history, and leads to some career pathway they can consider for the future.
I think also two things. First thing is that like you're also getting those soft skills by working with a group, because that's literally what the job market looks like right now. Like for us, like even like our team is really small. Like it's just you, me, and our engineer. But we're like constantly working together. I'm figuring out how to have a better workflow for him. He's learning how to communicate with me. And there is a lot of, we have our own tasks, but like learning how to work together and like those soft skills is really important. I think the other thing is that now I'm like, maybe I'm like, I don't think I'm dreaming too big, and I would only like I only say this if I would think it's possible, but I feel like I have a handle on like multi-subject, like what multi-subject will look like. And so what if, now we're like flipping the script where it's like, hey, what if some of your class time is like primarily dedicated to working on this project, and then on the side, you're independently learning the lessons that we have planned out using Socrato and Stride to iterate. And then, hey, you still have that test. We still are keeping you accountable to finish that. You got to do that, but now you can do it independently.
Exactly. Yeah, it also frees up space for students as well, right?
Mm,
And then when
hmm.
now they can and think about what it looks like to still cover the standards. But also, like an interesting conversation that I had with Beth was what it would look like for students now to create. So, like, I'm creating in my mind, like trying to create all of these experiences for our kids. But now, what does it look like for kids to create with AI? And that's another set of boundaries that we had to think
Right.
about. It's
Yeah.
very interesting because I think building Someta allows us to think about boundaries for students because I think that's what we started,
Yes.
boundaries for
Yes.
students. What are the
Exactly.
boundaries for students? What are the boundaries for students? What are the, and then honestly, like most of the stuff that we see, not most, actually, that's not true. But the question is, what about the boundaries for teachers? We have to master both because
Yes.
honestly, the boundaries for students are going to determine the boundaries for teachers. And the boundaries for teachers are also going to help define boundaries for students. It's going to be a
Ex
symbiotic or reciprocal
We
feedback
call it
loop.
a flywheel, feeds into each other.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Science
Yeah.
teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Business.
Oh,
Yes.
business
Business.
teacher.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Symbiotic relationship though with science.
yeah,
Similar
yeah.
concept.
Okay, okay, that's enough. No, just kidding.
I'm just flexing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, I think that it really is up to us. Yes, we are building the meta, but I think we are more importantly philosophers. And
Mm.
I'm so like, even though I bag on my philosophy degree, because I'm like, what is somebody gonna do with a philosophy degree? Nothing. The more I realize, I don't know if you're listening to this and you're a person of faith, and just know that Someta is not a faith organization, but we're people of faith, is that God knew that I'm gonna be thinking about this stuff all the time.
Mm.
And he wanted to train me and have this background of philosophy of
Mm.
defining for educators, for teachers specifically, what are the lines? What is the healthy boundary for teachers with AI and AI with teachers? And
Mm.
I think we're helping to define that, which I think is such fun and honorable. And I just feel so grateful that I get to be in those conversations. I do have one more concept that I want to.
You cut out? Hello?
Oh, I think your video cut out.
My video cut out?
Yeah,
Oh. But you can hear me?
I can hear you. It says we've disabled incoming video due to poor network conditions.
I think on my end it looks okay, so it's probably still recording.
Okay, yeah, it is still recording. Do you want to just rejoin real quick? See if that fixes it.
Sure.
Okay.
Oh, the recording will stop once I leave.
Oh, is it? Okay. All right. Maybe we could just end it here for this episode. Okay. And then I could just close it out for us.
Yeah, I think it's still recording on my end because, like, even if the website doesn't see it, I think it's still recording directly to Descript.
Oh, wait. The video is still. Oh, the video is still being. Okay. 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 That makes
Yeah, I
sense.
think
Okay. Even though I can't
I
see
think
you. Okay. Okay. I was actually thinking you don't have another. Yeah. I don't think we have. Okay. Let me then just finish this concept and then we could end here. Is that okay?
sure.
Okay. So here's the last concept that I want us to end on is as we were talking with Anthony, which was our advisor, who's 26, but is much further down than us in the startup world, is that I think we are building an Ironman suit for every teacher.
Mm.
And that to me, like, because imagine Iron Man, right?
Mm.
What Iron Man suit does with Jarvis is that there's like different things that it can do. It can do the like that blaster thing from its hand. It could fly, right? It shoots missiles or whatever. It could open up the masks or whatever, right? It could do a lot of different
Sure.
functionalities.
Sure. Yeah.
And then you could also delegate stuff like, okay, Jarvis, go ahead and do research on this guy. Go ahead and tell me all the pertinent information. But ultimately, it's Robert Downey Jr. who makes the decision to say, this is what I want to do. And so I see Socrato, which is our step by step tutor or step by step like instructional guide, is one of the like weapons of Iron Man, whether
Exactly.
it's like a that beam thing or it's the rocket shoes. It's one of the things that
Mm.
supercharges. I don't want to use the word empower because empower is like so overused everywhere. That's why I don't want to use empower. But
In education
supercharged,
space, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like a
Yeah.
supercharged teacher. And then stride is another like ability that it has.
Mhm.
'Cause it, I don't know, does another thing. And then now when a teacher uses Someta or maybe some other tooling out there, but I don't know. I don't think there's many toolings that are focused on teachers like this, the way that we're focusing on it. When teachers are using Someta, it's analogous for them putting on an Iron Man suit and saying, and then now I have all of these different powers that I can use now that I didn't have before, so that I can do things that I could have never done before. That's how I see it. And that's why I think our messaging, I know if we're talking about messaging, I think it would be like supercharging teachers or something like that.
Mm,
Or giving, even though we probably can't use it because of trademarking or whatever, but it would be like we give an Iron Man suit to every teacher or something like
mhm,
that. But that's how I really see it, as we are an Iron Man suit for teachers.
mhm. No, like, totally, like, exactly what you're talking about. If we keep the same analogy, where each agent that we have made so far is meant to solve a specific problem, because that's essentially what a tool is, right? And that's I like it's funny because Iron Man, like in the third movie, right, like where he like loses his suit, now he has to be like if you're I'm making that connection where it's like the brain never changed. The ability to use and utilize the tools never changed. It just the tooling just became a little bit different. And so he's not fighting some superhuman stuff without the Iron Man suit, of course. But I think there is a level of this where this metaphor keeps going, where it's the teachers are doing stuff with kind of him without the Iron Man suit. And so, what
Mm,
if we gave them an Iron Man suit? What could they do with the Iron Man suit?
mm,
So that's actually where I would be like, I would make the connection. And then also where it's I think one of the things that we've been really hitting on, and I don't think I mentioned it in the podcast just yet, but I did want to say that like we are giving the ability for you, or I guess one who's a teacher out there, for you to customize some meta to how you would teach the student.
mm,
And now there's a level of just obviously you get to put your own personality into it, but there's a level of just like being able to reach these kids in a way that like these general AIs wouldn't be able to ever reach these kids. And it's
mm.
because of you. It's like we just provide you the tool to be able to go fly out there and help this kid and save this kid. That's kind of how I
Wow,
see it.
that's so good. That's so good. I love how you put it retroactively of sending Robert Downey Jr. to fight a bad guy without a suit. And I think perhaps that's what a lot of our teachers are doing. Imagine all the kids that you can save now that you have the right suit, and how effectively you can save the one, and not only just save the one, but also the many. So that's really good. Yeah, that's
And
really
again,
good.
like I'm not I don't want to put like everyone on a pedestal, right? I don't want to make it overly dramatic, but that's it's I still stand by the statement. Like I think and this is why I'm so passionate about working on this because I feel the power of what this can do. Like I've
Yeah,
seen it. We have some kids that are customers of ours and they're using the product and like we've seen their grades increase. And it's
yeah,
just and of course like we've had to go through iteration and it's taken tons of building. But the conversations that I have with these kids now, it's like they're a different kid.
yeah.
And it's a small sample size. But to me, that's I oddly enough, I don't think I'm being hyperbolic, or I don't think you're being
Mm.
hyperbolic, which is crazy to say, but yeah, it's a massive upgrade for sure.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, man. It's we're giving teachers who want to save kids the right tools to do it. I know saving is a little bit intense, but
Yeah,
that's what
yeah,
we
saving,
do, right? Some of the kids that teachers not deal with, but work with and interface with every day, like
yeah.
those students are like the teacher could be their only hope. But if they're spending
Mm,
all their time grading papers or like marking off wrong answers,
let me let me like rephrase because
I think that ultimately we can do a lot of cool things with Someta. So if you're interested in working with us, I guess reach out to us in some way, shoot us an email. Shoot Zach an email. Zach at Sameta.app. And
We'll have the links in the description,
yeah,
what our app is, how to get in contact with us,
yeah, for sure.
my email.
Yeah. And my email as
Yeah.
well. But
Dude,
email
yeah,
Zach
like,
first.
but if you stay to the end of the podcast, I know we talk a long time. If you stay to the end, like, if you're underwater, if you're feeling underwater right now, please reach out. And not in the sense of, oh, here's a solution, but just, I want to know why you're feeling like that. And I want to help in any way that I can. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you. All right. That was another episode of the Math AI Guy, AI Math Guy podcast. And thank you, Zach, for coming on. And I will see you guys all in the next episode. Bye
See you in the next one.
bye.